Yeah, I'm getting more optimistic. Quite frankly, there's been more conversation across the aisle to say, how do we actually get out of this? A government shutdown is kind of like a war. It's easy to start. It's really hard to stop because once you're in it, everybody's saying, well, how do we get out of this? How do we get out of this? Right now, the conversation's really been about how do we get to the real appropriations? What we have said, quite frankly, as Republicans from the beginning, let's get the government open. Let's actually finish the negotiations out. But there's no reason to negotiate while federal workers, while members of the military are not getting paid. They're not the issue. Congress is the issue. So let's make sure that we're holding them harmless while we're trying to negotiate the final elements.
As those conversations are taking place, what does a bipartisan compromise look like to you?
Yeah, I think right now the first things first is let's reopen the government. Let's get that done. And then let's get the 12 appropriation bills. This is why we're in this mode at all right now, is because those appropriation bills hadn't been done. Some of my Democratic colleagues have asked for new climate initiatives. They want a change in health care. There is a COVID era bonus payment that was done for Obamacare recipients that they wanted to be able to get that bonus payment made permanent. We've responded back, hey, it's not COVID anymore. We can't do that. It's about $450 billion. And so we pushed back on a lot of those things and saying, we'll talk about some of those things, but we'll only talk about it if the government is actually open, because we shouldn't be talking about 20 million Americans in a COVID subsidy while we've got millions of Americans not getting paid at all that aren't even affected by this COVID era subsidy at all. So first things first, let's get us open. Then let's actually finish the negotiation out. We have several Democrats, I won't say the exact number at this point, that are coming forward and saying, hey, people aren't getting paid. This is getting harder and harder and harder. We need to find a way to resolve this.
Yeah, so the people who are really feeling those impact, the federal workers, the president has warned that back pay for some of those furloughed workers isn't guaranteed, but, you know, the law passed in 2019 mandates their pay. Can the president withhold their money? Should people be concerned about this?
No, the federal workers that are furloughed, they will be paid. Now, there is a difference on this. If you're a contractor for the federal government, you're not being paid. That's a whole different issue, and that's always been true. It's been one of the things I raised because a lot of people will say, hey, you know, government shutdowns don't hurt anyone. And I say that's absolutely absurd. In fact, Senator Schumer said yesterday, things are getting better and better for Democrats every day. And I'm like, hold on. Literally, we've got federal workers not being paid and we've got members of the military not being paid. It's not getting better for the American people. So my focus has been whatever we have to do to be able to get us open, we need to do that. But we shouldn't hurt the American people long term in that. So let's keep it open. Let's have the negotiation.
Yeah, and on that, what is your message to Oklahomans, federal workers, military people who are getting ready to potentially go without that paycheck if the government doesn't open soon?
Yeah, we are working constantly just to be able to get the most basic thing to be able to get us open. Federal workers are familiar with what the fiscal deadlines are on this in September. The last 4 years during the Biden administration, we had a moment just like this, that we got all the way to the edge of the very end of September. But every time we did a continuing resolution, Republicans joined Democrats and said, let's keep the government open while we're negotiating. It's very frustrating at this point. It seems to be just an opposition to President Trump to show they're fighting and they're the resistance to be able to punish federal workers and their families and members of the military and their families. Those aren't the folks that are the issue that they're frustrated with. We need to be able to make sure that we're actually keeping it open. So our focus is we are working every day. We are negotiating. We're trying to accomplish some other things. We have the National Defense Authorization. Same time, we're negotiating. We just completed 108 nominations this week as well. But the whole time, we're still trying to be able to navigate through what does it take to be able to get this government open again.
Yeah, so are you expecting something soon here within the next few days, the next few weeks, potentially?
Oh, I pray it's not weeks. It needs to be hours or days. I'm the eternal optimist that I just keep working to try to get it done. But I am expectant that in the next couple of days, this will get resolved. This just can't go into the weekend. If we get past Friday, this just starts a whole series of bad events for a lot of federal workers and their families. They're federal workers and members of the military. They're literally going to take a loan out right now to try to be able to get through the next paycheck period. They should never have to do that. In fact, I have a bill that I've run year after year to try to make sure this doesn't happen. We had 57 votes for my bill that prevents government shutdowns. We're trying to get 60 for that one, so this literally never happens again at any time. But in the short term, we got to get at least 60 votes just to be able to keep the government open.
Yeah, and a lot of people watching that one. I do want to ask about the FAA. I know some airports are already seeing some impact there with their air traffic controllers. As we know, OKC is home to the training academy here. Do we expect this shutdown to potentially worsen the ongoing air traffic controller shortage that we see across the country?
Yeah, the administration has kept the air traffic control school open, which is extremely important. In the past, that's been closed down. We got really behind in trying to be able to go through the recruiting process. But the FAA has lost some folks. There are some folks in furlough at the Mike Monroney Center. So it is important that we get everybody back going again. Some of the control towers, the air traffic controllers, or some of them are calling in sick, saying, if I'm not going to get paid, I'm also not going to be able to come in. Once they start calling in sick to be able to do that, then it causes a whole contagion where we have to slow down the number of flights that are coming in because we don't have enough air traffic controllers to manage that. That's causing some real problems as well for just travelers. So yes, it's important that we do that, but we also encourage folks, whether you're federal law enforcement or air traffic control, show up. You're an American. We're all going to find a way to be able to get out of this together.
All right, Senator Lankford, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us this morning. Keep us updated. We're all watching, and we appreciate you coming on.
You bet. Glad to be able to do it. Keep praying for the nation.
All right, we'll be right back after this quick break.